All right, and we are starting.
Take two. Alrighty. Going live in 5, 4, 3. Welcome back, everyone, once again to this Beefcast presentation in association with IvD YogiTime.com. This is the tournament number 27, Gold and Silver tournament. This fine Wednesday evening, joining me once again is Zertox, aka Jamil. Getting into this game here on Tal'Darim Malter. What are you expecting?
Well, it's going to be interesting. In our top right, we have our Cyan Zerg Arturoth.
Yeah, Arturoth showing us last game that he has some pretty impressive macro skills. His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the Red Zerg, euphhy, showing us a few games ago that he's got a pretty mean 10 pool. With a much larger map here on Tal'Darim Malter as opposed to Ohana, which was the last round. We'll see if he does go ahead and go for a very early pool once again, or if he chooses to play a little bit something more of a macro game. Worth noting that euphhy is, in fact, a random player, so his individual builds might not be as refined as his opponents, as he does have to spread them out over all three races.
Right, and right now we have just part of the early game. I don't see any early pools going down yet, so it looks like everybody is playing at least somewhat standard so far.
Yeah, the 14 gas going to be going up there for our Red Zerg. And so with that, I would expect a 14 pool going to be coming down as he hits 200 minerals here in just one moment. This is a build that I'm very familiar with myself, and he's actually going to be going up to 15 drones, and he's going to be going for a 15 pool afterwards. So just a little bit more econ variant there. And a drone going to be making our way out from our Cyan Zerg up in the top right, going to be looking for his opponent. But as these overloads have already met down there in the bottom right-hand corner, they each know where their opponent is. So now they're just going to follow that up with a ground scout as well.
Right, and euphhy going gas first and then pool is somewhat of an aggressive build. It allows the Zerg player to get speed almost as soon as that spawning pool completes, which can definitely lead for early Ling attacks and quite a lot of harassment.
Yeah, and with a 16 pool, I believe, 15-16 pool coming out of Arturoth up there, he's going to have a very economic-based opening. Going to be going up to gas on 18 there. This looks like something of a Baneling defense for that early expansion that he's going to be taking there. That's what I would expect. But with speed going to be out and started there for euphhy, he's not looking like he's going to want to play with any Banelings right now. His expansion has just gone down as well, but here in about 100 seconds, we're going to have that speed kick in. And there's going to be a pretty significant timing where he's going to have speed and his opponent won't, and we'll see if he's going to be able to make any magic happen. Right now, his second gas going to be coming down here for Arturoth, though. Not very often that you see two gases off of just one base right here, and his opponent has, in fact, scouted the second gas. We'll see how many drones do, in fact, go into that geyser and how gas-heavy he wants to get.
And what's interesting is euphhy is only just now starting his queen, whereas we already have our queen out for Arturoth.
Yeah, there's going to be a distinct larva advantage here for our Teal Zerg. Going to be able to get quite a few more Zerglings and drones out just out of that aspect alone. Right now, the drone actually going to get into combat here with the queen, as 6 Lings are going to come over and cover her 6 as she does take down that Overlord. Vision going to be denied up there. Already saw everything, but he's not going to be able to hang out much longer. And euphhy even going to acknowledge that he made a little bit of a mistake there, but not a big deal. Queen's going to be able to make their way out over here to the natural, and both these players going to be content to just kind of macro up for the time being. A Roach Warren going down here from euphhy, but with that Zergling speed completing already, he has not made any Zerglings to be aggressive with. So it's a little bit unfortunate that he did go for that early gas if he's not going to make use of it at all. It's going to put him at a pretty severe disadvantage to his opponent when it comes to like you said, larva. He was able to get his queens out quite a bit earlier, but he's just going to have his expansion later, although he has started to saturate his expansion because his opponent did go ahead and build a ton of Lings all the way up to 18 lings right now, as opposed to his opponent's 0 army count, relying on those 2 queens and the 3 spine crawlers to try to defend for the time being. And actually, euphhy, the player that did go the more aggressive build, sitting at 5 more drones for the time being.
Right, it's quite interesting that euphhy has decided to put a spine in his main and his natural. That helps a little bit if there's any Zergling run-bys. And it looks like speed has completed for Arturoth. It looks like he is bringing lings across the map here.
Yeah, with those 18 lings right now, he's actually going to be able to put quite a bit of damage into the main base. He's not going to want to go for the natural right now, simply because there's too much stuff defending right there. But this queen will fall, and the spine might fall. The drone's going to be coming off the line, so he's even going to get a couple of drones right here. Yeah, the spine is going to fall here in a moment, but he is going to lose most of these lings. And as a roach and a queen come over here, that is going to get cleaned up. But let's take a look at the amount of workers killed. It was 4 in addition to a spine and a queen. And he also gets to see the lair timing there. Knowing that his opponent already did have 2 gases, he gets to see the lair timing, so he gets to be able to estimate when any kind of additional tech could come out of his opponent. And he's actually going to follow this up with even more lings. With the baneling nest already completed back at home, he could choose to go for a few banelings to supplement this attack as well. But with his opponent's defensive choice of roaches, those banelings aren't going to be too effective for combat. They would be effective at killing off some of the drones if he's able to slip a couple of those in there, though.
Right, and it does look like Arturoth is now pushing out from the watchtower. It does not look like he's morphing any banelings for this attack.
Yeah, he's actually just going to use the speed and the mobility of those lings to skip on through there. Once again, no queen over here, and he's actually just going to go to work on some of these drones. Going to get quite a few drone kills once again. Unfortunately, those lings are going to go ahead and attack move back over onto the drones, and even going to be making their way back on out of there. If we take a look at units lost right now, euphhy is significantly behind at 950 to 675 in the ZVZ matchup. That's actually a stat that matters quite a bit. You're working on roughly equal tech and roughly equal supply to your opponent. Losing more units is not something you want to do. And he's lost 11 workers. So that's really unfortunate for euphhy. At the same time, though, he does still retain the worker lead at 32 to 31. And he's got that tech lead. He already had the roach worn down, which is what his opponent is just getting now, and roach speed is about to start. Speed roaches versus non-speed roaches, that is a fight you do not want to take.
Right, and it does look like speed is about a third of the way done for euphhy right now. Meanwhile, we have an infestation pit going down for euphhy as well.
Yeah, that's actually a great thing to have in ZVZ here. Both of these players have a little bit of a saturation problem. Oversaturated at Arturoth's main, undersaturated at the main of euphhy, so a little bit of a misplay there. But with that infestation pit going down and double Evo chamber, it looks like Yuffie's actually going to be spread really thin for gas, not even going to be operating off of his 4th gas for the time being, the one in the main not taken. He's not going to have enough gas to continue roach production, infestor production, and double upgrades right now, whereas his opponent did go ahead and bank up to about 800 gas, operating off of only 2 gases at home, because he has only built about 3 roaches so far. With that lair completing, he's going to be wanting to start roach speed very soon. I'd love to see him get an infestation pit of his own, start getting those infestors out, and get their energy counts nice and high for any kind of upcoming battle.
It does look like he has managed to get some more roaches out, but it looks like Yuffie's coming across the map with his own roaches here.
Yeah, and with those roaches out on the map, once again, speed roaches versus not speed roaches, that's not a fight you want to take. And so he's actually going to be able to effectively deny his opponent's third for a long time here. But if we take a look at the mid-right-hand side of the map, there are actually 10 Zerglings set up in a flanking pattern over here. And the roaches are actually going to try to make their way into the base right now. But with 4 spine crawlers, a queen, and a handful of roaches there, that is not something you want to have happen. Those Zerglings could look like they want to move down to the third, though, try to deny that.
Yeah, I think Yuffie made the right decision there, backing off. You don't want to face that many spines with a queen, and those roaches, your roaches would just get decimated, and you're not going to do the damage you needed to do.
Yeah, but very wise of Yuffie to go ahead and back off for the time being. Going to send 1 roach up to go ahead and camp that third position. Wants to make sure that he does retain the econ advantage, which his third is going to be finishing up, whereas his opponent's third is not even started at this point. Infestation pit finally going to be going down, and double evolution chambers as well. So he's going to be quite a ways behind his opponent right now, just starting 1-1. He hasn't even started 1-1 yet, whereas his opponent's is almost done. Zerglings are going to be making their way into the third for right now, but go ahead and backing off as soon as they see those roaches start to move over there. And Hydralisk again did go down. No pathogen glands for the time being, but with the grooved spines upgrade, the range upgrade for those Hydralisks, those Hydras could prove to be the tipping favor for our red Zerg.
Yes, and you definitely need those Hydras as a support unit, but you don't want them as your main unit versus a heavy roach army. You definitely need those roaches in the front to take all the hits. The Hydras need to be in the back so that you can take out the roaches quicker, but those Hydras, if they get hit by roaches, they're just way too vulnerable and go down quickly.
Yeah, like you said, having naked Hydra is definitely not something you want to do. I've been playing around on the Heart of the Swarm beta with roaches and the Hydras and the new Hydra speed upgrade, and I've definitely gotten caught a few times with just a ton of Hydras and no tank for them. Not a good situation to be in. Roaches and Zerglings going to be making their way across the map for the time being with a few infestors. One problem with these infestors is that they were actually produced before the pathogen glands did go ahead and complete. So they are quite low on energy right now. They do not have any fungals. They will in about 10 seconds. Each one of them will have one fungal, but it's a little bit unfortunate, probably a little bit mistimed there. But there is actually a big timing right now where Euphhy does have plus 1/1, whereas his opponent does not for about 45 more seconds. If he's able to take advantage of that, this could actually go very much so in his favor. But he's actually going to move out onto a high ground position right here. This is not a fight that he wants to take. This is a terrible position. Fungals are actually going to do a lot of damage, but it looks like Arturoth is actually going to be content with trading some energy for some HP for the time being, and another beautiful fungal going down there onto those roaches. Without Burrow, those roaches are going to stay at low life for the time being, and he still has 4 more fungals. Those Hydras so slow off of creep, he might even be able to get a couple of snipes off, but no, he's going to choose to fall back for the time being. Both players going to be content to eco up. One roach up here at the third for Euphhy is going to go ahead and take out 3 roaches or 3 drones and force the rest of the drones off of the base. Back at home, we did have Hive upgrade completed for Euphhy, so we'll see what he wants to do with that. Pathogen gland is going to be started finally, in addition to a couple of infestors over here. Could be wanting to just finish 3-3 with this Hive, or he could be looking to do something like Ultralisks. There it is. Unfortunate that he's been upgrading ranged attacks and not melee attacks, so the upgrades on those Ultras are going to be relatively low. He could go up to 5 armor, but he's going to be having a pretty low attack. Armies going to be bypassing each other for the time being, and it actually looks like there's actually going to be a contingent of roaches over here that could be segmented off pretty well, but the roaches that are already behind enemy lines have a direct path into the third. But both of these players are going to be looking like they're going to lose their thirds for the time being. A couple queens go down here over at Arturoth's third as the roaches and hydras are going to be starting to DPS into that hatchery, and it looks like the teal Zerg is actually going to be making his way home right now and does not opt to kill his opponent's third, instead wants to make his way back home, does not want to lose his entire base. And right now, Euphhy is actually in a superior position right here. This is a great concave, a great area to be fighting into, but the fungals do go down and the units are starting to clump up just a little bit, and it actually looks like Arturoth is going to be able to clean this army up very easily.
And what's notable also is that Euphie's army got cleaned up, but he had the upgrade advantage still. He was 2-2, and Arturoth was 1-1.
Yeah, and right now we do have Euphhy back home. Go ahead and start 3-3 right though. Those are very expensive upgrades, a total of about 500 minerals and 600 gas, something like that. Very, very expensive upgrades. And with him being as cash poor as he is right now, I don't think he could afford to make those upgrades. Look at the amount of units that he has in his army. Look at the supply difference right now. He's about 20 supply down.
It does look like Arturoth is coming in here for the third. We see that attack coming, but Euphhy does pull over. I don't know if he can hold this off.
Hey, there's absolutely no way you can hold these off. They should not be sacrificing these units in here right now. Look at how high energy these infestors are. There's some beautiful fungals going down. A couple of infestors going down unnecessarily right now, but the teal Zerg is in a beautiful position to go ahead and clean up this entire army, and he's going to actually be able to march directly into his opponent's natural after killing off this third base here. And the third is going to fall momentarily right now, and chasing a little bit too far with these roaches and hydras for the time being. One infestor does come out and get sniped off immediately. Roaches and Hydras in the backfield over here are going to start to get cleaned up by this one Ultralisk. But look at all those Roaches, Hydras, and infested Terrans going to absolutely tear through the unupgraded Ultralisk as that is going to fall. And it looks like this could be very close to over for our Red Zerg.
Right, the Ultra just was not able to do the damage without the upgrades. It does look like Arturoth has decided to pull back as opposed to continue the push, though. Perhaps he's just going to get some reinforcements and then come right back across.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Attacking into some spines, he doesn't know how many units are back there. He doesn't know how many full energy infestors there might be burrowed under the ground. I definitely agree with just go ahead and go home, reinforce your army, heal up a little bit, and then take the fight back to your opponent. You know that you've just killed his third. You know that you're on a fort that he does not know about. You're in the eco advantage, you're in the army and tech advantage for right now. Go home, attack in a couple of minutes. And that's exactly what he's going to be doing right now. So Arturoth playing this game very well. I was actually very scared when he decided to go back and defend that third. Well, defend his natural after he lost the third. But he had much larger army, many more infestors, was able to easily clean up that fight, and knew that his opponent wasn't going to be able to defend his own third. And euphhy tried to, lost every one of his units, lost his third anyway, and is now going to be kind of paying for it. Right now, doubled the supply of his opponent. Arturoth is marching his way across the map, and euphhy even going to try to go ahead and meet the units out here, but look how many units there are. Look at that concave. One infestor going to go out there, drops a nice fungal on some of the infestors and Hydralisks, but does in fact almost get wasted there and is forced back home.
Meanwhile, Arturoth looks like he's just going to camp outside the base, perhaps waiting for some additional reinforcements. Looks like he has some overlords coming across map, so maybe that's a missed rally point or something.
Yeah, it's possible. He could be looking to upgrade those to Overseers and scout for burrowed units, something along those lines, but I think that more than likely that's a screwed up rally point, just like you said. Arturoth going to be taking his time over here, wants to do this right, wants to make sure that there's no opportunity for his opponent to go ahead and get back into this game, and a few of these Roaches even going to be making their way over to try to deal with these Overlords. But Roaches, Infestors, going to be coming out. A very nice fungal going to go ahead and lock down a lot of these Infestors and Roaches, and this looks like it could be it right here. So much Zerg, so much Teal Zerg going to be bearing down on his red opponent, and every single one of those units gets cleaned up. The supply is 170 to 79 at this point, and actually all the way up to 200 right there. Arturoth saying, you know what, I'm tired of not being maxed. I'm just going to go ahead and max. I've got the money, I've got the tech, I've got the supply. Let's do it. Maxes out on Roaches and Hydras, and he is sitting there at 2-2. He is ready to move on in. The only remaining combat units right now for our Red Zerg are going to be 8 Infestors, 1 Ultralisk, and 1 Infestor. That is not going to be enough to deal with this army right now. Another Ultros going to come in there. Even a nice transfusion going to be going down, but that Ultros does fall, and GG comes out of our Red Zerg. Arturoth looking absolutely dominant once again. euphhy not putting on the aggression that we saw from the first game, and ended up paying for it there in the late game.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Arturoth showed us that he can handle that early aggression and give it right back. I think he did very well there.
Yeah, very nice job from Arturoth. I'm looking forward to seeing the next games out of him. Once again, I've been your casting host, Beef, working with IvDYogiTime.com. Make sure to go check them out over there at that URL. They're going to be running 3 tournaments a week. All of them have a prize pool. Make sure to click on an ad just to go ahead and get a little bit of that ad revenue so that they can go ahead and continue to make that prize pool available every single week. Don't only do like one ad, though. Don't want to get them in too much trouble there. But thank you very much for watching. I've been Beef. Joining me, Zertos, a.k.a. Jamil. We're going to see you in the next game. Thanks for watching.
That was a pretty good game.
Yeah. It looks like people have been asking for a delay.
What kind of delay?
Somebody with a delay server for the stream, so we have a game that we need to cover.
All right.